I once asked you in another circumstance, if you learned something from making an airplane, because you guys have designed functioning airplanes, that you could attribute to the guitar, because I thought the airplane is much, obviously much more complicated. And your response was so surprising. You said, "Oh no, it's much more complicated to make a guitar," and that was because of this icon. You said with the guitar, you must wrestle with the icon.
Yeah.
The airplane has to, stay in the sky, get up and come down. It's different, right?
Yeah.
But it's a physics of staying in the sky, and the guitar is emotion of staying in your state of mind. So, yeah, you have to enter in the state of mind of people. The airplane, it's physics.
Today on Life with Strings Attached, we're live on location in Porto, Portugal, with my very special guests, Julio Martins and João Petiz, the founders of Everythink, a design company that says they like to think of things that don't exist yet. Products, services, and experience that impact people's lives in a positive, easy, and happy way. Their design projects cover an incredibly diverse range of needs, from highly innovative, fully electric-powered carbon fiber commuter airplanes to stringed musical instruments and even cork products sold at IKEA around the world. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with João and Julio. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Julio, João, great to see you guys. Thanks for having us in your city here in Porto, Portugal. It's a lovely place, and we appreciate you welcoming us here and spending time with us. So,
thank you very much for coming. Yeah. It's always a pleasure.
So, I've been looking forward to having this conversation with you guys because, I think that one, we just have a number of interests in common, and that is the guitar, of course, as the musical instrument which we all play, but also as an icon, as a design object, as a question of mechanics, materiality, the science of it. You are curious people who don't just accept the standard narrative. If the standard narrative is tested and proven, okay, great. But we must test. And I'm a tester also. Just ask anybody who has little patience. I'll test their patience quickly. He's always asking why. He's always challenging. Jesus, Jamie, can't you just do something easy? So, literally had friends tell me, "Man, you just think too much all the time." And I don't understand that response, because I'm like, what are you doing in that head? Aren't you also thinking all the same time? And there's something different, but I think you guys understand this feeling, and maybe you've had some friends who also understand the feeling.
Once you start doing this exercise, you cannot go back. You start asking and asking and asking, and it becomes natural, right?
Yes.
So you look at something, and why?
Yeah, and that is all of the academic disciplines. Our children went to a Waldorf school, and at one point in time I was involved in creating some understanding of the curriculum and some visuals and such with this. And one of the things I love about Rudolf Steiner's way of putting together the pedagogy was that you clearly understood all the different academic disciplines, because their children would learn, if you were learning math, you would learn by drawing like a 3 division of a flower, and a 5-point flower, and a 7-point flower. And so you then understand that math is organic. It's around you in the world, right? You see a flower and you want to understand flowers. So what do? You smell it, you touch it, you count the petals, you draw it, you have to communicate the colors, you have to communicate the texture, you have to communicate the smell. And this is where, all of our disciplines that we now call chemistry or mechanics or mathematics. It's all just curious people trying to understand and then communicate what they understood to someone else. And I went through school not understanding that math was something that is part of my daily life. That was somehow missing in the curriculum where I was. And many people say, I don't know about in your lives, but many people where I'm from say that I'm not a math person, and such. And well, do you ever have to put birthday candles out? But that's ridiculous for me to say that. But the point is, get back to like a flower or something of the sort. And yeah, it's just curiosity and understanding. And then
science, all kind of science, were already here before we arrived, right? So we are not discovering anything. We are finding what already exists, and we are finding ways or languages to explain what we couldn't explain on another way. So but you are true. I think here when I studied, there was also this gap. I think now the teachers are trying to make it a little bit more clear, more natural, this learning. But that's true. We see everything in boxes, like math. It's one box. We'll learn this language. What for? We'll find afterward. It doesn't work like that.
I'm going to harp on Steiner for a second here, because it was so connected that in these grade 8, grade 9 years, which is sort of this, let's say 12 through 14 sort of age, everything becomes black and white. This is challenging for our parents to deal with this during this age, and as we're parents, it becomes challenging to deal with our kids during this age, because everything's a contrast. But so to deal with this, you learn to draw in black and white and paint with this in this period. In science, you learn about polarities, positives and negatives. In the reading and the writing, you're learning about the French and Russian revolutions and Joan of Arc and these famous characters, the struggle, the tension. And so from the math to the sciences to the arts, he's recognizing that the human is going through this time of polarity and struggle and tension, and he reinforces it. So they don't talk about you're going through a struggle. They just give you all of the tools to work out this positive, negative, black and white contrast in every aspect of the curriculum at the same time. Yeah, from art to even in their phys ed classes, their gym classes, they're doing things for balance and such during this time. It's really remarkable way of thinking, and it really shows that, yeah, there's no, we didn't invent these things, and they don't belong in boxes. They're just a different way to look at the exact same topic.
Yeah. But we have two different perspectives. One thing is the science, studying what is happening around us, how nature is, it's not created, how it exists, and how could we understand and learn from it to create new things. And that is a iterative process to do something else rather than what exists, and understand also what exists. But then you have a point that is education, and these are models of education, and there's a mass education. So when you have a group of students in front of you, you have to create something that is okay for everyone in the middle. It's an averageability of things. So it's for the average. Let's assume that who was before us understood what is the average, but probably the average is not the same anymore, or some guys who are more curious, who see things differently from the average, they don't get it. They don't get it because if, for instance, you were mentioning math and physics, there's a lot of equation expressions, formulas. And when we were at school, even in faculty, here is this equation, here is this formula, this is the Taylor polynomials or something like that. What is this for? Just do it. Just do it. This is to measure the area of something, to calculate something. But we don't have the justification for that. Why are you doing this? Why this is interesting? And some people need this endorsement. Yeah, do because you will understand more about. And we can do it with everything, as you were mentioning, with a flower. But with a guitar or something like that. So in my time, I was struggling with this kind of educational model. I was a very good student till I went to the university. When I arrived in the university, I said, "Oh my God, what is this? What I am learning?" In the first 2 years was just mathematics, algebra, physics, mechanics. Physics and mechanics are very similar, but in boxes. In boxes was not interesting. Was not exciting. Okay, in life, not everything needs to be exciting, but exciting in terms of learning. Does it make sense? It wasn't making any sense. But then when you see that you can use mathematics to calculate the scale of a guitar or to understand the behavior and the frequencies, you see, oh, it's for that. That's why I'm learning integrals or derivatives or something like that. Oh, to learn how does a guitar plays or how it behaves. Okay, it makes sense, and then you start getting more excited, more deep into the themes, and when you understand things, you got more excited about them. Even when that's why people go wild with hobbies, because even if it's not their job, they know a lot of that. Yes. They know a lot about flowers, about stamps, about coins, anything. When they know the history or something, because they connect the dots. It's not disconnected things. They are very connected, and this is what excites us when we are into a theme.
Yeah. But don't you think there's a way to I don't want to say fast forward, but to insert that curiosity and passion from the beginning stage? Do you have to stay disciplined for 2 years before you get to turning on the passion? You know, this was something. So I owned a music school for a period of time, and I went through. You know, you told me in sort of your own biography, João, that you had started to play piano and you quit, just like everyone else in the family had quit. You know, and in 1984, Van Halen released Jump. And I wanted to, for the first time in my life, really, I wanted to play keyboard. And that was a passion for my mom, because her mother had taught her how to play piano when she was very young. And she wanted her kids to play piano. And so Van Halen released Jump, and for the first time, Jamie's actually interested in playing piano. And so she signs me up for music lessons, and I go to the local music school that was in the shopping mall, you know, where we lived. And I'm here to play Van Halen. And they sit me down in front of the book, and they teach me where middle C is and how to place my fingers. And they teach me, here I go up a hill to a birthday party. I still remember to this day. this didn't last. It didn't connect to my passion. So I came in full of passion, and they said, plug them into the system. And they plugged me into the system, and they somehow disconnected me from my passion in the process. Now, fast forward 20 years later on, Jamie now owns a music school, and we have a lot of students. We had about 600 students a week coming through our school. And I watched these students, and I'm trying to explain to one of the piano teachers that I have interest in why are we making them learn to read and write the music at the same time. It's actually slowing them down, and that we don't learn to speak this way. We don't stop our children from saying daddy until they can spell it, right? This is ridiculous, right? We develop a vocabulary, we understand the use of the vocabulary, and then we need to communicate it in a written form. And so I told them about this scenario, and I said, instead of teaching me jump, even like one finger version of jump, I don't need to lay chords down. They could have taught me the melody. And they taught me Birthday Party, and I realized, I played it on the piano in front of them, it was the same fucking 3 notes. Jump is also C, D, E. They could have taught me the same fingering, the same notes, and kept the passion. Instead, they didn't understand how to connect to my curiosity and my passion, and they plugged me into a mechanical system which should just exist for everyone else. And I don't think it would be a huge difference in their level of output, like their effort to teach it, because they also could have written the notes down for jump very quickly. I'm sure the piano teacher wouldn't have taken them a lot of effort to do this. And so I think that for one of the reasons this is such a passionate topic for me at this stage is because I didn't care about education when I was young. I wasn't a very good student. Like, I just wasn't engaged. I wasn't interested so much. And that resulted later on me cutting a lot of classes and not showing up for things that were not interesting to me and such. And later on, my wife made the wonderful choice of putting our kids into the Waldorf school, which I never would have done on my own. It absolutely was her. You know, she's the CEO of Family Affairs. You know, I'm the CEO of the business. And she made these great choices. And I, for the first time, saw education in a way where I thought, oh my God, every parent who I've ever brought in and given a tour, this would have made a huge difference for me, you know, to engage us passionately and curiously. And so, long story short, now in my life, a lot of people see me as a salesperson or as an event person, as a marketing person, or something of the sort. And my success has actually been as a storyteller and as an educator. That results in sales. But I learned a very long time ago that it's best to actually just help people understand, connect with their passions, connect with their curiosity, and then let them know what the available choices are. And so my role is to align myself with things that meet legitimate needs, which is why I look for unique world-class instruments that are contributing to the conversation of the guitar. You've heard me say that a billion times, right? Because they're meeting a legitimate need. And then you put it to the people and allow them to say, oh, this is the one that meets my needs. And so I find myself, having been an awful student who didn't give a damn about school, now basically being an educator. and now I'm a little bit frustrated because I realize, I wasn't a bad student. Yeah. I could have been a great student if they had just connected. And so let me turn this around on you now, because we were at your office yesterday and you guys have this incredible company called Everythink, where, if I have it right, you use design thinking on products, events, and experiences, right? And you have a team of people there, and I've had a chance to engage with some of them on some products that we're designing for some of my clients with you guys. And as the runners of this company, the owners of the company, I don't know what your structure is, but the point is, you guys are at the head of it. This idea of connecting your people to the work and the education part and the curiosity and the passion, that has to be really at the core of Everythink, I presume. Yeah. How do you do it?
That's a good question. So one thing that we did from the beginning, since the beginning, was that we didn't want to be two specialists on one thing, and we wanted to work on different things. That's why you go there and you see consumer goods, you see musical instruments, you see airplanes, you see furniture, you see experiences, you see many different things, and the same team is working on different things. So this is a way of being fed with different influences, and so actually we don't do anything formal there. It's but the way we settled the company makes it happen. Of course, people bring share different experiences within the team, with the clients, with the partners. So all this mix, it's very important. One thing that I personally try to do is, as you said, we are told to go through a process on everything, and that makes sense at some point, but also breaks us our creativity sometimes. And that's a struggle we have every day, and we try to put the output, it's the important thing. So put the process, giving value to the output. Don't compromise the output because of the process. So, which means that you have to know the process, but you have to know how to skip sometimes, how to change the process, do it in a different way. Otherwise, you will be having the same very similar output. And this is something that we try every day to talk internally with the team. Because it's much more comfortable if you have a pipeline, a specific pipeline of tasks, and you follow this, and in the end you deliver. But it's not the kind of work that we do. It's not an industry. It's a creative work that also has all the creative work has a lot of effort on it. It's not something that you think this morning and it's done. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of teamwork also. But I would say that it's this. So knowing the processes, knowing has as much as culture or world, knowing as much of the world as you can, and then having the capability of mixing everything, and sometimes do outside of the scope a little bit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I love about your work and our conversations, is because I think people look at generalists as a negative thing, but Leonardo da Vinci was a generalist. I was at the Da Vinci Museum this time last year, and here you learn that Leonardo changed biology because there were two schools of thought, and he understood hydrodynamics. So he had worked with water and figuring out how to move the water up into the olive trees and such, and as an engineer. But he also was a great illustrator and was interested in the human body and anatomy. And so he looked at, I don't remember what the problem was, but there was something with digestion and we didn't quite understand it yet. And he saw that we have a complicated bowel system because we're vertical. And it must be inefficient for the water and stuff to leave the system, because it must be retained within our body long enough for us to pull the nutrients from it. And when you're on four limbs, like a dog or a horse, that the bowels are less complicated than a vertical being. because gravity is not forcing it out to the other side, right? And that a snake or worm has the most simplified bowels because the gravity is almost nothing. It's there on the ground. And so it has a very simplified system. And so it was actually his understanding of hydrodynamics and engineering that helped him look at the biology. And he's such a good illustrator that he could communicate all of these things together. And he was part of the reason that they formalized the direction that we now understand the biology of our digestive systems, right? I mean, that's a generalist. People say, well, that's a genius. Well, but he's also just not narrow. It's because he's able to see all of these things together, right? And
we see
and connect them.
Yeah, and there's another thing that is related with our process, and we name it as a process so it looks like it's something very strict and rigid. It has some we need to have some way to do it, but the main thing is in the beginning there are no bad ideas, there are no stupid questions, it's not why should we do this, why not, we can try, we can test it, we can think about this, because this is a way to spread our vision, to spread our sights, to look at other things. And this is part of the process. It's part of the process to research. Sometimes our clients in this design process don't understand at the beginning when we spend time doing some research, and it's not a scientific research, it's a design research. Look outside, look at analogous markets, look at buildings to create a guitar, look at guitars to create a building. Why not? Because we have strings and we have bodies and many things there that can inspire us. And you can look at something in our body and question, why does it happen? Because of this pipe is related. We are all machines, we are all things. It's a human body. I used to say that for me, sometimes we get some medical doctors there visiting us, and we show some samples that we have there from 3D printing, a bone 3D printing, for instance. And we show them as, for us, this is a piece. It's something that, if it's the bone or a structural part of a guitar, for us the same thing. We face things as they are. We don't put a lot of religiosity in things. So we do a plane or we do a guitar. We were designing guitars a long time ago, and a guy entered in our office asking us to create a plane. Let's do it. Yes. It's not, oh my God, we have to certify it and we have to think a lot of things. And, no, accept it. Okay, we don't know everything in the world. We have to be wise to understand what can we do and what we offer and deliver. But the challenge has to be accepted, and the exploration has to be accepted, and we have to do it, and we have to question why not. Let's test it. Let's try it. Again, we are not fans of that saying that we should fail fast. I think that even in startups business, we talk a lot about fail fast. You should fail fast. No. Because if we democratize failure, then you start failing too fast and without the right amount of effort.
Yeah.
You're not, probably in the process, you're not failing. You're just improving.
Right.
Okay, it's not perfect, but it's part of the process. You have to learn with that. Okay, there's the mistake. There's something wrong here. Okay, let's understand. Why does it happen? Why did it happen? Let's try to understand.
Maybe we should call it learn fast.
Learn fast. Yeah, it's not fail fast.
right?
We're reaching somewhere. We're reaching somewhere in the learning education.
Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop is your premier fretted instrument custom case maker, and we invite you to create a musical instrument case unlike any other, one that's unique to you. Every Cedar Creek custom case is hand-built by highly skilled craftspeople using only select woods, Providence Forge hardware, and premium instrument-friendly materials. At Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop, we are dedicated to helping you design the case of your dreams. Find out more at cedarcreekcases.com. It reminds me of, there's a famous quote that I'll paraphrase that I think is attributed to Nelson Mandela. Of course, there's so many false quotes out there in the world. I now second guess all of it. Everything has a caveat. This may or may not have been said by this particular person, but the sentiment is still great nonetheless. Doesn't matter who said it. And that was, I never lose. I either win or I learn.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the sentiment that you're getting at here, you know. Failing isn't quite the right sentiment here, right? We either succeed at it or we learn something from it that will be useful. Yes. It may not come to the end which we were anticipating, but it will still come to a useful end if you understand how to view your failures, you know. And you know what I love about what you're talking about there in general is it requires a high level of abstraction, and it requires a level to get way above things. And I find many people in my life are very much in the weeds all the time. I bring them way up here, and the first thing they do is they end up right back in the weeds. So what about this little detail here? What about the shipping? What about the, we're gonna get there. We will get to the shipping, but let's stay up here for a second. The whole project isn't a failure because we don't yet understand how we're gonna ship it. You know, mark that down. Stay with me and get up there. And so there's actually someone who I wanna interview in Italy in a couple of weeks. Hopefully I can make it happen, where she's a university professor in Milan and in Tokyo. She works between the two of them. And during the pandemic, you know, everyone had to shift a little bit and figure out how they were going to teach. And so she created this course on abstraction and the value of abstraction. And it was really timely for me because I was dealing with a client who had put an executive in position who very clearly was extremely concrete and was not let's say, exceptionally gifted in the area of abstraction. And of course, I live in this abstract space, and then I still make things happen, of course, right? We make realities, which means we have to come out of the abstract into the concrete, but I have to start in the abstract and then work our way down into it. And this was a huge, a huge clash here. And I had to really consider about the idea of the ability to abstract and the concrete, and how we work together, these tensions between us. I generally see that not as good and bad, but as equilibrium. How is this balancing me? You know, where is my weakness in this, and how do we work together? But that high level abstraction is a place that I honestly try and live within. So right now, you mentioned it earlier on about the mechanics of the guitar and the physics, which were not such a big conversation a couple decades ago, but are more so now. There's a few books being released, lots of people doing scientific studies on it. You know, there's ongoing work in Cremona about the violin and the physics of it. But I've had a number of these conversations recently, and often they're with engineers, and they're very much in the weeds, let's say. And for me, my intention for understanding this seems to have an opposite motivation. So they're trying to prove or disprove the science of it specifically. I'm trying to create freedoms for new possibilities, right? Yeah, but it's the same information, isn't it?
It's the one thing that everybody asks us. So when we say, so we design and develop, build, we sell this electric guitar, carbon fiber electric guitar. Everybody asks us, so it sounds better than wood?
Right.
Yes. And it's hard to explain because again, people always try to compare, to have this post what's bad, what's good, yeah. And no, it's not the goal. So my answer is, choose 2 wood guitars and tell me what sounds better. Okay, that's also hard. So with the same material, if you build different guitars, you'll have different behaviors, and different people will say this one is better and the other one it's better. So the goal is not to be the first one in a specific scale. It's to give the new opportunities, new
Experience.
so give the answer for challenges that will bring new questions and new challenges to the guitar and to the musical world. So this comes very. I think this goes. This complies with what you were saying, is that we are trying to get new knowledge, but that new knowledge to open new questions.
Unlock potential.
Yeah, that's
Unlock new realities.
that's.
Yeah, but science is very related with going deeper and deeper and narrower and focus. So we are in educational system. We are very we are driven to go into a very specific detail, because the macro they assume is studied. So when you enter into a specific knowledge, okay, now you are in biology, so you have to narrow in plants, then you have to narrow in leaves, then you have to narrow in cells, then you have to narrow.
Yeah.
You go so deep, then when you want to leave that place, you are not allowed, because you are in that frame.
Yeah.
You are studying the frame. You are not studying the movie.
Yeah.
So that is the well, it's not a challenge. It's a point of view. But there are another point of view. So there are other ways of doing good things. I have a friend of ours that he was a researcher in pharmaceutical sciences, and he said, okay, when I reached to a point where in the whole world I was only able to talk with 2 more people about my knowledge, I understood that, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to talk with more people, so I'm trying to step out of this area, because it's too narrow. But there are people who like to be there, and so we have to accept that.
That's my literal definition of hell, by the way. Like when people ask me, not when people ask me, I describe often, like, they ask me, what's your favorite guitar? What's your favorite place you've been to? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? No. For me, it's the next one. And then I usually say this. I say, my definition of hell is being caught in the same conversation with the same person indefinitely. That's hell to me. And so I want the new experience, you know? And so, like, you literally described my own definition of hell. There's 2 people in the world who I can talk to about this. That's it. It's done.
Yeah, that's a lot of things to learn and to share, and yeah, even if it's not the real definition of something. In musical instruments, we have a lot of that, because there's the narrative and some justifications because of the sound of Stradivari violin, for instance.
Yeah.
Some of them are physically proven at the eyes of science, and many times science proves that science was wrong, because it's a thesis. Okay, we believe that the atoms have this shape. Yeah. Well, it's a guess. It's a guess.
Currently right.
Yeah. It's our belief. It's our belief.
Yes.
But on the other hand, we know, okay, this is right for science. But a narrative about sun and the position of the moon when the glues are being made or something like that, Well, it's a good story. It can engage us. It can involve us, and some of this interest and some of the emotion about things, it's not in the thing itself. It's in the narrative, in the marketing side, in the story that you tell. So everything is engagement, and it's involvement around the things, around the services.
There is something about humanity which craves the hero. And craves the, I don't know if you have this here, there's this obsession within American culture about the GOAT. Do you know this acronym? The greatest of all time. Which is hilarious, it's a GOAT, because a GOAT is not a particularly revered creature in Western culture anyways. So I think it's hilarious they call it the GOAT. But, you know, everything becomes the GOAT. And so we want to know what is the greatest guitar of all time, who is the greatest at this, who is the greatest scientist of all time. You know, and there's that funneling effect that we've discussed before. You know, at the beginning there's all sorts of tangents in different directions, and personally I love this space, this high level space where everything is possible, right? But it is also undefinable a little bit, and as we start to define it, we define it by communicating the ideal, and that ideal, the icon, the hero, the gesture of the hero and the icon, and then what they're made of is when we enter the materiality of that, right? So that the hero in the gesture is a Les Paul not worn in your armpits, made of mahogany. You know, it's the Stradivari with the spruce from the Valley de Fiume. You know, I think is the valley, and you know the particular lacquer that was used on it. You know that all of these minutiae are all actually about creating heroes. Or icons within the moment, and there is a human proclivity to doing this, because as far as I can see, it's across all of the at least developed civilizations.
Yeah, it's a matter of mindset of competition, mindset of you also want to know if it's the best, because it's the only way to validate something. And if you say that something is good, you are well seen by your peers, by someone who is listening to you. If you don't, oh, I know the guys who make the best guitar in the world.
You know them personally?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's
Thank you.
Yeah, but you see that so because people are afraid of saying that. I know these guys or I have a guitar made of carbon fiber. Oh, it's not wood. It's not good. But it's the best in the world because someone said, "Oh, now it's good." Well, but there's a story I read a long time ago related with guitars. That was the guy who, in a younger age, bought a second-hand rubbish guitar of a not so good brand, and he spent his life saving money for that dream guitar he always wanted. But in the meantime, he was playing with that rubbish guitar. When he bought the expensive guitar, and he was very happy about the brand name there, he played that, and he said, "Oh my God, the guitar I thought was rubbish, that's the one I like to play. That's the one I love to play." Because, he spent his life working with that guitar. The fingers are there. So, what is the best guitar for him? It's his early age guitar with, I don't care, the woods, probably pine or something like that.
It will validate it. It will validate him. It's this negotiation between us, the object, and the narrative in this way, right? I'm saying that for the first time. I'll test my triangulation there in a moment. But it's, you know, when you said this person who, you know, played this sort of cheap guitar all the time, I gutturally responded like Kurt Cobain, because that was the experience of my life. I came to guitar during the period of the hard rock heavy metal period where we were trying to perfect these older instruments, and that's where the Floyd Rose came from, and the active pickups of the E and G, and the locking tuners, and the faster necks, and it was all about refinement and improvement. And when Kurt Cobain and Nirvana came along, and they played these guitars that they couldn't sell the first time around, they were kind of these rejected, sort of shameful, cousin, that no one talks about, in the closet. Their success validated the guitar.
Yeah.
And now the category we now call is offset guitars, right? These Jaguars and Mustangs, and there's all sorts of guitar makers who now make offset guitars because there's a generation of people who grew up with those people being the hero, and that was the hero's weapon of choice, right? There's a story that we listened to where there's a moment where this is sort of a medieval sort of fantasy sort of time where they talk about if you show up without they will name your sword. Your sword has a name, and if you fight a formidable foe without that sword, they'll say, no, I'm not, go and get the damn sword. It's part of the story. You're not the hero. They'll say I only won because you didn't have your sword on you, the famed sword, right? And so this idea of naming these objects and us giving them value, and then in turn them bestowing that value, that is literally the hero's journey, right? The hero's journey is someone coming from an unremarkable circumstance. They go through this great trial, they overcome it, and when they overcome it, they typically now have the boon, whether it's a superpower or the riches, to bestow upon other people. And this is exactly what happens with these iconic objects, is someone becomes the hero through their journey, and they imbue the object, and that object, then when you interact with it, you can experience the same the same boon or the superpower that they have.
Yeah, but there's also a sense of tribe value, because there are a lot of things that in our tribe, we understand that they are icons, they are heroes, they are, oh my God, this is what it is, and we are amazed. But if someone is not in the tribe, for instance, haute couture or something like that, you dress something from a very well-known Issei Miyake or something like that, and oh my God, this is Issei Miyake. But if you don't know the guy, some regular person that is not interested in fashion, say, with the blanket in the head. So the communication has a lot to do with the tribe and what are the values of the tribe, and what do you recognize as a standard value or a high value thing in the tribe. So musical instruments is the same, and that is very relevant. So many times it's not only about creating the best product, is to create the recognition around your tribe.
And that's complicated. I once asked you in another circumstance, if you learned something from making an airplane, because you guys have designed functioning airplanes, that you could attribute to the guitar, because I thought the airplane is much, obviously much more complicated, and your response was so surprising. You said, "Oh no, it's much more complicated to make a guitar," and that was because of this icon. You said with the guitar, you must wrestle with the icon. Yeah. The airplane has to, stay in the sky, get up and come down. It's different, right?
Yeah. But it's a physics of staying in the sky, and the guitar is emotion of staying in your state of mind. So, you have to enter in the state of mind of people. The airplane, it's physics.
The Boutique Guitar Showcase on Tour will make its first ever Asian appearance at Sound Messo Osaka in Osaka, Japan, May 11th and 12th, 2024. You can experience many incredible, unique, world-class guitars, meet some of their makers, and speak with me, Jamie Gale, the curator of the Boutique Guitar Showcase, at this landmark event. Find out more at boutiqueguitarshowcase.com. I'm realizing right now how much influence you guys have had on me. Really, because there's a few moments that we've had where it's really shifted my understanding or thinking, and that was, that's one of them. I was just thinking of another one. Now I lost it. Shit. But I'll remember again in a second. That sort of wrestling with the icon. Oh, the other part was related, but I was charting out guitars, and I was looking at this sort of idea of the evolution of guitar design, and there was on my chart there was this chasm, and on my current line of thinking, I was going through Raymond Loewy's sort of concepts of equal quality, function, equal price, then you buy the better looking one. I was like, but these are dysfunctional. There's no ergonomics, there's no balance. Like, you couldn't get a degree with this as your design object at any valid school in the world right now. You would fail. And they sell huge quantities of these instruments. And so I didn't understand it was. And one of you said to me, well, it's form follows function. I was like, no, they're dysfunctional. And then I had to question, like, shit, function is not only mechanics. And then I thought, there's an iconic function, a religious function. And then once I was able to understand that actually we're not just talking about the refinement or improvement of the function, mechanical functions of an object, that we're also wrestling with the icon still, and that there's a religious and iconic function, all of a sudden I realized that function is much more important to some people than something like ergonomics or balance or something. And then
often icons are dysfunctional, often, because they need to be different, recognizable in an emotional way that it's not connected to the function. You see that on glass.
Everyday life, no?
Everyday
object.
So if you see a shoe, a specific shoe that it's a very high-end shoe,
it's not
often
comfortable.
it's not comfortable. But because its function, it's not. Its function, it's not to be comfortable.
Yes.
It's to be noticed, to give a status, to give a feeling of being.
To make us happy.
Of being different, of the person to feel unique, when at least in the moment she's dressing the.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yellow?
I don't wear these shoes
with green stops.
Notice me and want to have a conversation about Kill Bill. You know?
Pretty.
Absolutely. And they're among my more comfortable shoes, but I think that a pair of like Nike Airs or something are probably more comfortable.
It's part of your well-being. But one of the first things about what you're saying, one of the first things we had to deal when we were thinking about the company, about instruments and learning through musical instruments, learning about business, learning about a lot of stuff when we designed our business plan, was related to marketing. And in marketing, you have a lot of people related with the acceptance, let's say, acceptance of something. And in musical instruments, we have a lot of that, because when a kid starts playing guitar, the kid is the player, but his parents are the buyers.
Yes.
But the guy in the store, as an influence, is the seller. But the teacher is the guy who endorses. But the emotion of it and the guitar that the kid wants is the one that he saw is star playing, Kurt Cobain, or the inspiration. So there are a lot of different roles, different people to sell or to buy a guitar. So and all of them are related with decision. So it's not only function, it's not only form, all this process, yeah, we can reduce it to a selling process, but it's more than that. It's an emotional process.
You need a
really.
village to sell a guitar.
Apparently.
Yeah, but we are all connected. We are all connected.
I love that. That actually should be NAMM's new slogan. You need a village to sell a guitar. It'd be perfect, actually.
Yeah.
But the NAMM experience is very, very rich, because in our daily job, so when you are designing a consumer good, you think on statistics. Sometimes you have to think on the average person, or this target people, and of course you can use the persona method, try to do something tangible, but it's not a real person, it's not a real need. You're not facing a person. And at NAMM, most of the people that go there at the BGS already know all the guitars, have tried everything. So they already passed this hero stage, they already went through that. So now they are really, really putting their sensibility, I don't want to call it need, but it's a need or something different, for something that pleases them in a different way that they don't know yet. They are trying to find something that they don't know what it is. And this is very rich, because you talk to different people and you see this different perspective. So for us, also feeds us our process, our design process, that it's okay, you have the process, but in the end, me, João, as a mechanical engineer or as a designer in one product, I will have to put my soul there in some way. Even if I have all the metrics, KPIs to achieve, in the end, something must be different, because I was the designer. I don't know if you because there's also always this thing about art and design, and art is something that comes from inside. Design is something that it's to give answers to someone else. And in the end, I think it's a mix. Otherwise, why would I hire this designer or that designer, right? This is a cool balance. This balance, sometimes it's hard, but again, the NAMM show gives us this every year. So once a year we go there, and gives us this freshness of having to talk to very specific people with very specific needs, and 5 minutes later you are talking about a whole different thing, and you understand that the motivation for different people comes from very different backgrounds, from the very different things. So you can talk to a guy that likes carbon fiber because he's an airplane pilot, but you can talk to another guy that likes carbon fiber because he is a bridge engineer. Right. Something you don't. So it's good to understand this.
How, being people who work across a broad set of disciplines and a broad set of needs, how unique is something like the NAMM show? Is there a NAMM show for every other industry, for every other type of thing that you do? Is it different than... I'm having a hard time sort of communicating the question because I don't experience the other possibilities. But I imagine there either is a NAMM show for every area of interest, or the NAMM show is possibly somehow uniquely related to the guitar. Because you talked about the chance to show things in a way at the NAMM show and interact with people that are already sort of along the path. You know, they're developed, let's say, a developed kind of customer, sophisticated customers.
I think there's a NAMM for a lot of other stuff. For instance, I remember from machinery machinery for metal. There are people who love machinery as much as we love guitars.
Yeah.
They know the brands, they know the models of a 5-axis CNC machine that does this, this, and this, and that brand is the brand because they grew up working in a machine like that. But it's impressive. We understood that when we went to some shop floors, some work. Oh, I work all my life with a brand, some brand machine. So they love it, even with trucks or something like that. Big trucks, we don't care. I just see them charging things, transporting things. People love the things they are related with. The thing that is different about, even in healthcare industry, medtech, people got excited about that because it's their daily job and it's their, sometimes it's almost their hobby and work at the same time. The thing that is different at music and musical instruments is the ability to get the instrument from the shelf and play it and be yours for a moment. We don't have it anywhere else. Okay, we can test, in health sector, we can test some device just to see if our heart rate or to see something happening, but it's not that kind of feeling, that emotion and that noise of having thousands of people playing it at the same time, vibrating with music, creating something new, exploring, sharing ideas. Yeah, at that sense is different. For people, emotion is there in several other areas, but that experience is different. I don't know if you have the same. You can have a different.
I never thought about this. So, and we don't know every show on the world, of course. No. But I think it's this emotion. So if you compare, okay, many other areas, you don't. So, playing an instrument is a very intimate thing, and the guitar has this thing. It's you grab the guitar, you put your arms around, and it becomes part of you. Mm-hmm. So, and this is what I think differentiates the guitar from other instruments, and why it's the most played instrument in the world. Yeah. And I believe it's because of this, because it becomes part of you. And maybe this doesn't happen a lot with other objects. Maybe in a sports car, if you are driving a sports car and some place and all this experience, maybe you become part of the car, not the car part of you, but maybe you have the same feeling, but you have to book a place to be and pay a lot to go experience. In the guitar you can...
Has a level of convenience too.
Yeah, with cars, you go to a trade fair in Geneva or something like that, you see the car stopped. Probably, if you are allowed to, enter the car. Right. But you don't play with the car. You don't get in the car and go to the track. Or if you go to a fashion show in Paris, okay, you will see the dresses going by in the catwalk, but
try them on.
You don't try them on. Yeah, and there you get the drumsticks and you try the drums. You get the pick and you play the guitar. Even if you want to test, you say French horn, you go there. I want to try. I never tested. Please allow me to do this once in my life. And they allow it, and that is an amazing experience. And I think it's one of the, even with sports, okay, you can test a ball of football or a basketball but with snow sports, you have to go to snow. You see the surf, you see the surfboard, but you don't go to the sea. it's a different thing.
Different, yeah.
And that music allows us to do that anywhere. So I can bring the guitar and play it here, everywhere. It's the most portable emotion thing that we can have.
I once talked to a musician, a guitar player, and I asked him, "What's your favorite guitar?" Because he has like 20 guitars, and he told, "It's this one. It's the smallest guitar he has around. So it's not the one that plays better, but why? Because when I get home, this is small, so I can be in the sofa, and in the end, I realized the last 20 musics I've written was with this guitar. So I record them with this guitar and I play with this one. So it's my favorite one. It's just because the convenience becomes the convenience
The main
and habit
function.
becomes the.
Yeah, Taylor had this with their baby Taylors that they made, was such a success that there's many people who ended up owning those little guitars, and I had a similar one that was for my daughter when she was young. It was made by Alvarez Yari, but this little guitar was the same thing. We traveled with it, and I just loved sitting there playing. The short scale makes it super easy to play, right? Like, it's really convenient, so you do things on it that you don't do on other guitars and such, but yeah, there's something with that. So, listen, we could talk about everything and everything for a long time, but unfortunately, our listeners have an end in sight typically, and so we got to wrap this up. In their patience, that's right. So, listen, is there something that is important that you guys want to get out there as far as a message is concerned? The question I should have asked you that I didn't, before we wrap this up.
This is always the hardest question. To deliver the question to the interview. No, I think it's the challenge for people to be open-minded. Why not exploring new things? We know that know more things takes time and demands dedication from ourselves. So when we start to get older and with more time-consuming things around us, it's difficult for us to learn more about things. But I think it's important. I think it's important to let us renovate our mindset, our mentality, and be open to accept new things. It's good for us to grow. It's like nature. Nature is always accepting new things, even if they are harsh. For instance, for the environment, the ecosystems, but nature accepts it and changes and adapts. Yes. Okay, it can be bad for us humans to survive in this Earth, but planet Earth will survive. So we have to be part of the nature, and we have to accept that.
You have to kill sometimes to evolve, right? That's the nature thing. You have a plant has to die to bring a new one. So sometimes what I think, and when we have to kill Ava 1 to move to Ava 2.
Yeah,
that's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, that's a great one, and it's interesting as far as creatives and emotional, passionate people. Is sort of killing your darlings, the creations that you've made. I mean, we're not talking about killing our wife and children. We're talking about killing our concepts or things we're committed to. And there was a moment, there's something called the Dragon's Den in Canada. It spawned a show called Shark Tank. Okay, you know this one. Oh, maybe there are two famous Canadian TV shows, MacGyver and Dragon's Den. Yeah. But there was this moment where there was a great success offered to one of the people. The home shopping channel wanted to buy their product, and the guy wasn't doing it. And the guy who started Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary, said to him, says, "I'm out." He says, "And the reason I'm out is because you don't know when to get out of the way." And I was in the moment keeping one of those darlings alive at the time with a deal that I was in with a distribution where I loved and loved and loved the product, but I realized that actually I needed to kill it. That was hard to do.
That is one of the challenges that we work every day. When you ask about the challenge that we have, one of those is when we create something in the process, not to be passionate about our first creation. And that is a challenge because you created something and you got passionate about it because you spent time, you related with that, you are already familiar with that, but you have to move on and to improve and let this baby behind because he don't need you. It's just a drawing. It's just a non-livable creature that you can put it aside and go on. So, but for us designers, sometimes it's difficult to understand that. Okay, we are in love with this, but this is not a thing. We have to move on.
And we have to be careful between that need to fulfill a function and the slothfulness of indifference, right?
Yeah.
We've all had a client which can be a lot of work, and you're butting heads, but they want it and they're paying their bill, and you have this temptation to fuck it, it's what they want, but I'm not that guy. I have to be passionate. I have to be behind that thing. And so, yeah, this understanding of knowing, when to keep it going, when you have to kill it, what the motivations are behind those things. This is the challenge, and this is, for me, where morality and ethics sort of come into the business, and dealing primarily with artisans. There is a segment that are absolutely psychologically in the Geppetto syndrome scenario where they cannot allow a second party to sell their product because they have to meet the adoptive parents. And if they don't know where it is, that they don't know that their child is safe, they're very unsettled. And that's a fascinating thing to deal with. Because sometimes they ask someone to help them get their child adopted because they need the money. They're still selling their child into the world somehow, but they're not selling it into slavery. They want to make sure it's going to a good and safe home and somebody who will love their child and take care of it, and that's what their guitar is. And so, well, we'll have to end that for another day. We'll pick up on Geppetto syndrome, but Julio, João, thank you so much for being a part of this, and you guys exemplify what life with strings attached is, because the guitar continues to connect me to all sorts of people and scenarios where I have no business being, like the Venice Biennale last year, where we worked together with Everythink on that event, and our architect friends said, how the fuck did you get involved at the Venice Biennale, And it was a great moment, and I think you also understand, because your first product was the guitar and your second product was an airplane, if I remember correctly, right? And a lot of people had a hard time understanding that. Yeah. But if you understand on a high level, abstraction and physics, you realize they're both tensioned objects, right? And that actually there's a lot of parallel between that. So anyways, thank you for being one of the strings attached for me in my life. My life is better knowing you guys, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching and listening. You can find more episodes wherever you listen to your podcasts, and a special thanks to those who support us on Patreon. It's your support that enables us to do this work.